Ryan strolled through the bustling market, hands tucked into his jacket pockets as he admired the vibrant mix of human and alien cultures. Earth had become a melting pot of species over the years, with interstellar trade bringing all kinds of wonders to everyday life. Stalls lined the streets, selling exotic foods, handcrafted trinkets, and technology far beyond human imagination. As he passed a small jewelry stand, something caught his eye, a delicate pendant shaped like a swirling galaxy, its colors shifting beautifully under the artificial lights. It was mesmerizing, almost hypnotic. "You have good taste, human," the vendor, a reptilian alien with dark green scales, rasped. "That is a bonding charm. Brings luck to relationships." Ryan chuckled, picking up the pendant. "Bonding charm, huh? Sounds like a fancy way to sell jewelry." The vendor's golden eyes glinted with amusement. "Perhaps. Or perhaps it holds more meaning than you realize." Ryan wasn't too concerned about alien customs. He just thought it looked nice, something that would suit his friend, Anaya. She was a Yalari, a tall, graceful alien woman he had been working with for months. With her silky violet skin, silver eyes, and the way she carried herself with quiet elegance, she always stood out. She had a fascination with human culture, often asking him about traditions, food, and stories. It wasn't unusual for colleagues to exchange gifts, so when he saw the pendant, he thought it would be a thoughtful gesture. He paid for it and slipped it into his pocket, thinking nothing of it. Later that evening, he met Anaya at their usual coffee spot, a quiet cafe with a mix of human and alien patrons. She greeted him with a soft smile, her silver eyes lighting up. "Ryan, I hope your day has been well." "Not bad," he said, pulling out the pendant. "I saw this at the market and thought of you. Figured you might like it." As soon as Anaya took the pendant into her hands, her entire body tensed. Her eyes widened, her violet skin darkening with a sudden blush. She stared at him, mouth slightly open, as if he had just said something shocking. "Ryan, you..." Her voice trembled. "Do you understand what you have done?" He blinked, confused. Gave you a present?" Anaya swallowed hard, fingers tightening around the pendant. "Among my people, this is a formal engagement token." Silence stretched between them. The background noise of the cafe faded into nothing as Ryan processed what she had just said. "Wait, engagement? As in marriage?" His voice rose slightly in disbelief. Anaya nodded, still staring at him. "Yes." Ryan felt his stomach drop. "You're messing with me, right?" She shook her head. "No, Ryan. This is a sacred symbol among my people. When a Yalari presents this to another, it signifies a bond of deep commitment. And when accepted," she took a shaky breath, "it is an agreement of intent to wed." Ryan gaped at her, then at the pendant. "But I didn't mean to propose." Anaya's blush deepened. "Intent is secondary in Yalari customs. It is the act that binds the agreement." His mind raced. This was bad. Really bad. He had no idea what kind of legal, social, or cultural mess he had just walked into. He rubbed a hand over his face. "Okay. So, what happens now?" Anaya hesitated, her expression conflicted. "Breaking the bond is complicated." "How complicated?" He wasn't sure he wanted to hear the answer. She looked away. "It would bring dishonor upon me and my family. The only acceptable way to dissolve it is through a formal challenge or time. If no vows are spoken within a certain period, the bond dissolves naturally." Ryan exhaled, relieved. "Great. So we wait it out and everything goes back to normal?" Anaya still seemed troubled. "There is one issue. My family will expect to meet you, and if word spreads among my people, others will assume we are bonded. If another Yalari male believes me to be unclaimed, he may challenge you to assert dominance." Ryan nearly choked on his own spit. "Wait, challenge? As in a fight?" She nodded solemnly. "Yes, though you would be allowed to choose the method of competition." Ryan stared at her. "This day just keeps getting better." Seeing his distress, Anaya reached across the table, placing a gentle hand over his. I am sorry. I never expected this either. But I will not force you to act against your will. If you wish, I will distance myself until the bond fades. Something about the way she said it made his chest tighten. He had grown close to Anaya over the month. She was more than just a co-worker. She was someone he genuinely enjoyed being around. The idea of avoiding her, of losing what they had, didn't sit right. He sighed, rubbing the back of his neck. I don't want to avoid you. Maybe we can find another way to handle this. Her silver eyes searched his, hopeful yet hesitant. Then, will you stand by my side for now? Ryan exhaled, then gave her a wry smile. Yeah. Looks like I've got myself an alien fiancé. Ryan had no idea how quickly his life would change after that accidental engagement. The next day, Anaya explained the situation in more detail. The Yalari had strict customs when it came to courtship, and since he had unknowingly given her the pendant, they were now considered intended partners. While the bond wasn't finalized yet, the expectation was clear. His actions had set a path that her family and society would now assume he wanted to follow. So, what happens if we just pretend nothing happened? Ryan asked, hoping for an easy way out. Anaya sighed. It would be seen as dishonorable. The engagement is public now, at least within the Yalari community. If I walk away without a proper resolution, I will be seen as undesirable, and my family will be shamed. Guilt settled in his chest. He hadn't meant for this, but the thought of ruining her reputation didn't sit right with him. He ran a hand through his hair. Okay, what's the easiest way to fix this? I mean, besides actually getting married. There are two options, Anaya said, folding her hands neatly in front of her. 1. We wait until the bond dissolves naturally. This could take months, and during that time, we would need to maintain the appearance of an engaged couple. Ryan shifted uncomfortably. And option 2? She hesitated. You accept a formal challenge and defeat a suitor in a test of worthiness. That would prove your claim was never truly serious, and I would be free from the bond. He let out a low whistle. That sounds risky. What kind of challenge are we talking about? Anaya's gaze flickered. It varies. It could be a duel, a contest of skill, or even an endurance trial. The challenger typically chooses. Ryan groaned. So I could end up in a gladiator match? She smiled slightly. Unlikely. The Yalari value intelligence and strategy as much as strength. But, yes, there is a possibility of physical trials. Ryan leaned back in his chair, thinking it over. It seemed like he had two choices: play the role of a devoted fiancé for a few months or risk getting beaten up by an alien suitor. Neither option sounded ideal, but the first one at least wouldn't get him hospitalized. Guess I'd better start acting the part, huh? He said, trying to keep the mood light. Anaya's lips curved into a soft smile, but there was something else in her expression. Relief, maybe? Gratitude? Whatever it was, it made his decision feel a little less like a mistake. The following days were a whirlwind. Word spread quickly among the Yalari, and suddenly, Ryan found himself being introduced as Anaya's intended. He met her colleagues, some of her friends, and even received subtle but knowing glances from other Yalari whenever they were out in public. One evening, Anaya invited him to her family's home, a sleek, silver-domed residence nestled in a quiet part of the city. The moment he stepped inside, he realized how serious this was. Her parents, a dignified-looking couple with the same violet-hued skin and silver eyes, assessed him with polite but intense scrutiny. Her younger brother, a tall, athletic-looking Yalari male, was less subtle in his judgment, staring at Ryan as if sizing him up. You are the human who has claimed my sister, the brother, Vasher, said with a hint of challenge in his tone. Ryan forced a smile. Not claimed exactly. More like an accidental engagement. Vasher's eyes narrowed. So you are not serious about this bond? Anaya stepped in quickly. He is here to honor our traditions, Vasher. Do not test him. The conversation moved to dinner, which consisted of elegant Yalari dishes, thin, delicate strips of meat covered in fragrant spices, glowing blue fruits that tasted both sweet and savory, and a smooth, golden drink that left a pleasant warmth in Ryan's chest. As the meal went on, Ryan noticed Anaya's mother watching him closely. Finally, she spoke. "Human, what is your intention with my daughter?" Ryan nearly choked on his drink. He glanced at Anaya, who looked as tense as he felt. He didn't want to say something that would make things worse, but he also didn't want to lie. "I respect Anaya a lot," he said carefully. "This situation wasn't planned, but I don't regret it. She's smart, kind, and I think she deserves someone who'll treat her well." Anaya's mother studied him for a long moment before giving a slow nod. "That is an acceptable answer." The rest of the evening passed with fewer interrogations, but as Ryan was leaving, Vasher pulled him aside. "Be careful, human," he warned in a low voice. "Anaya may not have suitors now, but if another Yalari male decides he wants to challenge you, he will. You should be ready." Ryan let out a long breath as he left. He was in deeper than he had ever expected, and there was no easy way out. But as Anaya walked beside him, her hand brushing against his briefly, he realized something. Maybe this wasn't just about fixing a mistake anymore. Maybe he actually wanted to see where this could go. The days that followed were both strange and strangely comfortable. Ryan found himself spending more time with Anaya, learning about Yalari customs, meeting more of her acquaintances, and even adjusting to the small but noticeable ways their engagement had changed things. Anaya seemed calmer now, no longer as tense when they were seen together in public. She guided him through social expectations, explaining which greetings were appropriate and how to respond when other Yalari acknowledged their bond. The more time he spent around her, the more he noticed the way her silver eyes lingered on him when she thought he wasn't looking, or how her voice softened when she spoke to him. He had never thought about Anaya in a romantic way before this mess, but now, he couldn't stop noticing the way her presence soothed him, or how her laughter stirred something deep in his chest. One evening, they walked through a quiet part of the city after attending a Yalari gathering. The streets were lined with softly glowing trees, their luminescence casting gentle shadows on the stone paths. It was peaceful. "You seem more at ease," Anaya noted, glancing at him. Ryan shrugged. "Guess I'm getting used to being an accidental fiancé." She chuckled, her voice light and melodic. "You do not regret it as much as before?" He exhaled, thinking about it. "I regret not knowing what I was doing when I gave you that pendant. But I don't regret spending time with you." Anaya slowed her steps, her gaze searching his. "I feel the same." A comfortable silence settled between them. Ryan hesitated before reaching out, brushing his fingers against hers. She didn't pull away. Instead, her fingers curled around his, warm and steady. Just as he was about to say something, a voice interrupted them. "So this is the human who dares to claim Anaya." Ryan turned to see a Yalari male standing a few feet away. He was taller than Ryan, his violet skin a darker shade than Anaya's, and his silver eyes held a sharp gleam. There was something immediately unpleasant about him, the kind of arrogance that made Ryan's instincts bristle. Anaya stiffened beside him. "Keeler." Ryan didn't like the way Keeler was looking at her. "You have been absent from Yalari society for too long, Anaya," Keeler continued, stepping forward. "And now I see why. You've been entertaining yourself with a human." Ryan's jaw tightened. "You got a problem with that?" Keeler smirked. "Only that it is an insult. You deserve a true Yalari mate, not some weak off-worlder." Anaya's grip on Ryan's hand tightened. "I chose Ryan. Then let him prove he is worthy." Keeler's smirk widened. "I challenged the human." Ryan exhaled sharply. "Yeah, saw that coming." Anaya stepped forward, her voice firm. "Ryan is not obligated to accept." Keeler crossed his arms. "Then he admits he is unworthy?" Ryan had dealt with guys like this before. The type who thought they could intimidate people into backing down. He wasn't about to let that happen. He looked at Anaya, saw the concern in her expression, but also the trust. He squeezed her hand once before letting go. Fine. I accept. What's the challenge? Keeler's smirk widened. A test of endurance. If you last longer than me in the gravity arena, you win. Ryan raised an eyebrow. Gravity arena? Anaya spoke softly. It is a test of willpower and stamina. The arena increases gravity in increment. The one who withstands the most pressure wins. Ryan groaned. Great. So I get crushed for your honor. Anaya's lips twitched. It is a fairer challenge than combat. He sighed. Fine. Let's do this. Keeler grinned. Tomorrow. Be ready, human. As he walked away, Anaya turned to Ryan, worry clear in her eyes. You do not have to do this. Ryan met her gaze and, without thinking, brushed a thumb over the back of her hand. I know. But I want to. She looked at him for a long moment before nodding, her fingers tightening around his once more. The next day, Ryan found himself standing in the gravity arena, rolling his shoulders as he prepared for what was likely to be the dumbest decision of his life. The arena itself was a sleek, circular chamber, its metallic walls humming with hidden energy. Spectators, mostly Yllari, gathered in the viewing stands above, murmuring among themselves. Word had spread fast. Humans didn't often participate in Yllari challenges, and now, one was about to face Keeler in a test of endurance. Anaya stood beside him, her expression tense. You can still walk away, she said softly. No one would fault you. Ryan smirked. Oh, I'm pretty sure Keeler would. She exhaled sharply. Ryan. He reached out, squeezing her hand. I'll be fine. What's the worst that can happen? Anaya gave him a deadpan look. You collapse under extreme gravitational force and suffer internal injuries. Ryan blinked. Okay. That's a little worse than I was expecting. Before she could say more, Keeler stepped onto the platform opposite him, his arms crossed. Ready to admit defeat, human? Ryan rolled his shoulders. Let's just get this over with. A Yllari elder stood at the edge of the arena and raised a hand. The challenge begins now. The floor beneath them vibrated as the first gravity increase kicked in. It wasn't much, just enough to feel heavier, like carrying a weighted vest. Ryan adjusted his stance, glancing at Keeler, who stood rigidly, unfazed. Easy. Another increase. The pull on his body grew more noticeable, pressing down on his shoulders and legs. Ryan clenched his jaw and focused on his breathing. He had trained in high-intensity workouts before, but this was different. This wasn't just about strength. It was about enduring the crushing force without breaking. A third increase. His knees locked as he steadied himself. Across from him, Keeler still stood confidently, a smug expression on his face. Ryan exhaled through his nose. All right, pretty boy. Let's see how far you can go. Minutes passed. The gravity level continued to rise in steady increments. Sweat beaded on Ryan's forehead. His muscles ached, his breaths came slower, but he refused to buckle. Keeler, however, was starting to show strain. His jaw tightened, his stance widening slightly as he adjusted to the pressure. Another increase. Ryan clenched his fists. His body screamed in protest, his bones felt like they were grinding together, but he wasn't about to fall. Not in front of Keeler. And definitely not in front of Anaya. Another increase. A grunt escaped Keeler as he staggered. His smugness was gone, replaced by frustration. He stole a glance at Ryan, saw that he was still standing, and scowled. Another increase. Keeler gritted his teeth. His knees buckled, his balance wavering. Ryan, despite the pain, smirked. Something wrong. Keeler's glare was venomous. Another increase. Keeler let out a choked breath before his legs gave out. He collapsed onto one knee, struggling against the weight pressing down on him. Gasps echoed through the arena. Ryan, still standing, barely, gritted his teeth and forced a step forward. His entire body protested, but he did it. Silence. Then the elder raised a hand. The human is victorious. The arena erupted in murmurs, disbelief, and surprisingly, cheers. Ryan barely heard any of it. His vision blurred, his limbs shook, and before he could stop himself, he staggered, only to feel warm arms catch him. Anaya. You fool, she whispered, holding him steady. You pushed too hard. Ryan grinned weakly. Yeah, but I won. She let out a breath that sounded suspiciously like a laugh. Yes, you did. Keeler, humiliated, pushed himself to his feet and stormed out without another word. Ryan couldn't bring himself to care. Anaya helped him out of the arena, guiding him to a quiet corner away from the crowd. She looked at him with something softer than admiration, something deeper. You did not have to do this for me, she murmured. Ryan, still aching but riding the high of victory, met her gaze. I wanted to. Her silver eyes shimmered, and for a moment she hesitated. Then, with the same grace she carried in everything she did, she leaned forward and pressed a kiss against his cheek. Warmth spread through Ryan's chest. Anaya smiled, a rare, genuine smile. Perhaps this engagement was not so accidental after all. Ryan laughed, reaching for her hand. You know, I'm starting to think the same thing.